I'm here with Iona Barker. Where are we standing today, Iona?
We're standing on Socky Hall Street, which is the site of Pettigrew and Stevens and Copeland and Lye, which were big department stores in the 1950s in Glasgow. It's incredible.
Maybe not quite the same as the car park that's standing today, slightly different.
Yeah.
But was fashion big in the 50s though?
It was massive in the 50s in Glasgow. So the rationing ended in 1953 and it gave people of Glasgow a chance to just buy beautiful fabrics and just go crazy with their fashion.
It sounds very grand and a bit decadent. Shall we speak to somebody who knows a wee bit more about it?
I think we should.
My name is Douglas Anderson, and in the 1950s and 60s I was a fashion artist. I worked for some of the big clothing retail shops in Glasgow. As far as the retail is concerned and the actual promotion and selling of clothes, it's very different. The principal point about these fashion drawings is that the drawing was done a much larger size than it was going to be reproduced in the newspapers. Yeah. The fact that the artist is able to interpret that pattern, a camera would make a terrible mixture of that,
You've got a glass here. What does this do?
Yes, this is great fun. This is a reducing glass. Because while you're working, you know that this is going to be reduced in the newspaper. You can actually use this to see how it's going to look at a smaller size.
Yeah. Can I have a wee look?
Yes, of course, by all means.
Oh yeah, it's really cute.
It's like an opposite magnifying glass.
I know.
It's brilliant. Yeah, when you see it in relation to the printed adverts.
Shows the scale.
It does, yeah.
Brilliant.
A rough sketch may be shown to the retailer, a very rough idea of what's going to be done. So the next thing was to do a pencil drawing on tracing paper. The tracing is then traced down onto fashion board, quite simply by using homemade carbon paper. That's just lead pencil, and you put it on the board and trace it down. Wow. And then the finished drawing is done. This then goes to the printer. A screen is put over the photographic negative, which breaks it down into tiny little dots. That's then transferred onto a chemically treated metal plate, which is then etched, and the metal is then mounted on a wooden block, which then gives you the impression.
So what about the writing and all the text and stuff that goes around it?
That's put in afterwards.
What's that be?
Oh, sometimes I signed them.
Is that your signature?
Yes. More often I didn't, because nobody cared who had done the drawing.
We do.
We very much care.
It's good.
I think it's been a fascinating insight back into
it's been phenomenal.
to looking at the artwork that you'd have seen in the newspapers in the 1950s.
Yep.